What is up, RotoGrinders? It's time for some NBA Crunch Time. We had such a good time on NFL Crunch Time this morning. We figured we would run it back. I am your host today, TJ Zwarich, and I'm joined with my friend Andre Alford, Drizzy26. How's it going, man?
It is going pretty good. Ready to break down some NBA slate. Hopefully, could win some money since football is not going too well for me today.
Yeah, I'm right now fighting for those min cashes. It's a day that if you did not have Joe Mixon, you weren't going to be doing anything special today. So on to next week, but not even that yet. On to tonight's NBA slate, and then we're going to be back in an hour or two for tonight's NFL slate. So lots of Dre and TJ today. Hopefully we can help you win some money. I'm not playing because I didn't know I was going to be on Crunch Time till about 10 minutes ago today, but I did do the expert survey this morning, so I have done my research. I'll cover mostly cash games if you want to cover some tournaments. Let's start on DraftKings, go through the cash game build a little bit here. Hold on. I'll pull up the screen share as I'm doing that. Dre, what's kind of your view of this slate? We got a 3-gamer. It's a nice small one. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think that today's slate is this is a 3-game slate. Like to me, it's about the game stack. Finding the right game stack to go with and getting the ancillary pieces and any other games that help you win and take down a tournament today. Solo ship it. That's to me a way what I would go and what I would do today. So for instance, like if you're high on we have 3 games today. So the highest game total was 224, and that's the Washington Memphis game. Obviously, there's a lot of players, especially with Beal being out. There's going to be a lot of players geared towards that, which is fine. I don't mind that, but we can also get different by going with some guys in Chicago since Zach LaVine is also out, even though they play Toronto, which is a little bit of a tough defensive matchup. I think DeMar DeRozan still is always in a good spot. And DeMar, I think he always gets up for these games against Toronto because what they did to him. He was ready to be that player to play with that team the whole rest of his career. And
look, they tried it.
But every time
it didn't work.
I get it, but I mean they got a championship out of it, so it was worth it. But DeMar gets up for this game every single time against Toronto, so I like DeMar a lot today. I don't mind not taking him, and I like as far as like money line plays, I like Utah a lot today as well.
All right, let's start breaking it down. Starting on DraftKings, on doing some DraftKings cash share screen. I got the thing up, and then I forgot to actually click the button, but that's all right. We're ready to go now. All right, looking at cards as core plays here first. We have Kristaps Porzingis, obviously no Bradley Beal. We got Scotty Barnes in here, and we have Will Barton. Now, I'm not going to actually just lock those guys specifically into each position yet, just in case we want to use them at a different position. And I'm going to start going position by position. And at point guard, for me, I'm looking at Scotty Barnes here, and I think I would rather play him here than the point guard position, unless I'm going with Fred VanVleet. It's VanVleet, it's Barnes. Those are the two guys I'm rolling with here. I'd be okay with somebody like Alex Caruso or somebody like an Ayo Dosunmu. However, I think I would rather go with them at the shooting guard position. And so for me, it's VanVleet and it's Barnes as kind of my Toronto priorities in the backcourt. Will Barton cards has tagged as well. I think he's a phenomenal salary saving option without Bradley Beal. And then I think if you want to go to somebody like a Gary Trent, there's nothing wrong with that as well. I don't think there's an answer to can I have too many? There is an answer. If somebody says, can I have too many? Like how many Raptors is too many in a cash lineup? I don't think there is too many in DK Cash, Fanduel Cash. Like on a 3-game slate, I think you can roll with whatever fits because they're in such great spots today. So here I'm looking at Barton. I'm looking at VanVleet. And then I'm maybe looking at Dosunmu, Alex Caruso. Colin Sexton's probably more of a tournament play for me today. But if you want to play him in cash, nothing wrong with that either. We just have so many guys out, so much value today. At the small forward position, my priority is DeMar DeRozan. I think you need him in cash games today. I think he's an absolute must. And so, like, if we're looking at this, if I plug in, let's see, I want to hold on, see if I want to play DeMar at the power forward position. We'll build a little cash game lineup for us quick here. But Kuzma's in a good spot at the power forward position if that's not where you're having DeMar. Patrick Williams at 3,900, that is totally fine as well. Those are probably the two places I would be looking at cash games if I'm not playing DeRozan. It's Kuzma, it's Patrick Williams. And then at center, it's Kristaps Porzingis. The tough part here is I think I might want to play some Chris Boucher. I think I might want to play some Precious Achiuwa. So for me personally, I'm probably going to go Boucher at the power forward position. Achiuwa is going to be my utility. Then we talked about we want DeMar DeRozan. We want Will Barton. We'll plug in Scotty Barnes. And you can go from there, 7,200 for your last two positions. This is my preferred build. Now, if you want to roll with, if you feel that's, not Jordan Clarkson, Scotty Barnes. That's what I want to roll with personally. You have 6,850 for your last two spots. If you feel that's a bit too much Toronto Raptor for you, you can sub out Nachua, you can sub out a Chris Boucher, and you can plug in an Alex Caruso and Io DeSunmu, something like that. But for me personally, that's how I'd kind of start cash game builds there on DraftKings. Dre, are there any tournament plays in particular you like on DraftKings?
DraftKings in particular, Pressure 2 is a great tournament play. So is Chris Boucher. I probably don't mind playing like 2 or 3 Raptors guys, but more priority would be definitely Scotty Barnes, followed by Boucher for me, then Precious. And I'm running it back with DeMar DeRozan. I think, like you said, I think that's a must play in my opinion. And you should be able to do that and still have enough value where you can get other guys into as well. I also don't mind taking some shots on a guy like Kelly Olynyk a little bit here. I think he's a good tournament player. He plays 30 minutes a night, only 5'7". Those are a bit pricey, but he can definitely, probably spike an upside game, especially in this matchup against the Clippers here. I also do like another guy from the Utah side, which you mentioned before, which is Sexton. Sexton's been playing 30 minutes close to 30 minutes the last couple games. So that's encouraging to see now that he's getting back up there minutes wise. I think eventually when they trade Conley, he's obviously going to start. So I think Sexton's an excellent tournament play, coming at only 14% ownership. I think he has a chance for a great game. And obviously, I see we got these guys here with Caruso and Dragic. I am not a big fan of Dragic today. I would go with more so Caruso. And Corey Crispberg shooting threes is a nice little value play, only coming at 10% ownership. I think we can use that today to our advantage and make some money with that.
So as a value play, I do like Goran Dragic. I like Corey Kispert. I like Patrick Williams. I just don't really know if I'm going to need it today because for me, I love the idea of just game stacking this Toronto-Chicago side, playing 4 Raptors, running it back with 2 Chicago players. I think it works in cash and in tournaments, and that's kind of the way that I'd want to be going with things. But for me in tournaments, if I was going to differentiate, for me, it would be a full game stack, kind of like you were talking. In my tournament lineup, I would roll John Morant, Desmond Bane, and run it back with Porzingis and run it back with Kyle Kuzma. Hopefully Washington keeps it close, find a little value from that game as well. Or I would look to this Utah Clippers game, prioritize Paul George, and look to stack some Utah players around that. But let's pop it over to FanDuel. We got a nice small community people of watching today. It's a 3-game slate. It's NFL Sunday. No, not many people are playing some NBA DFS, and a lot of people who are going to be not your people who usually are. They're just like, hey, today was a good day. I'm looking at my lineups anyways. Let's throw it in. Or, ooh, I got to make some money back. Let's throw in some NBA teams. So let's hit the like button. Let's all win some money together. We get 20 likes, and I will drop my sub 10% owned play. And it's a 3-game slate. You're not going to get many sub 10% owned play, but I'll give you my favorite sub 10% owned play for tournaments. Let's start talking FanDuel. Over here, tagged, we have Kristaps Porzingis, Scotty Barnes, Will Barton. I agree with all of Cards' core tags for FanDuel, for cash games. For me personally, I'm also throwing in DeMar DeRozan. I think that's an absolute must. I'm probably going to be looking to play Fred VanVleet as well in cash games. And then I think that for me is basically, and the last one I'm looking at as a core must play for cash games is Precious Achua right there. So for me, those are the musts. The last guys I'm kind of looking at to fill out that cash game spot. If you want to pay up for John Morant and spend down elsewhere, I think that's a-okay. Io is probably my next preferred option, but if you need to save that extra salary for Dragic or even more for Caruso, even more for Dragic, I think that's okay. Monty Morris, I personally like for tournaments quite a bit as well. I don't know if you'd want to roll him for cash games. If you land on him last piece, you can't get that $100 for Dosunmu. You don't really want to leave the $600 on the table for $700 on the table for Caruso. Then I'm okay with Morris. But other than that, I think that's kind of a tournament only. Caruso would probably be the guy that I'd be looking to, or Morris. At the shooting guard position, somebody like Colin Sexton, if you want to shift Will Barton over to the small forward position, I am a-okay with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that there. This position isn't quite as deep as I feel it is on DraftKings. So I'm okay with Colin Sexton and cash over here. I would prefer that over a Norman Powell, but as long as you have Will Barton, I think you're then kind of choosing between the Carusos, the Sextons in that range from there. Small forward position, I'm prioritizing DeMar DeRozan, I'm prioritizing Scotty Barnes, and I'm prioritizing Will Barton. Those are the three most important. If I have them in my lineups elsewhere, the next spot that I'm prioritizing would be Paul George, Gary Trent, and then Norman Powell and Patrick Williams. I have nothing against Norman Powell and Patrick Williams. I'd rather Williams than Powell, but I think I'd rather spend my salary up a little bit. Kispert, yeah, sure, it's fine. It's probably going to be a good point for per dollar, but I don't really think we need that value. I think small forward is somewhere you're looking to spend up with a Kyle Kuzma or a Paul George in cash games. And then a power forward, we got two locked there, Porzingis and Achua. Boucher, I think, is going to be the other guy you're looking to slide in there. But if you wanted to put in Chris Boucher, me personally, I get this isn't a cash game play on FanDuel, but I think this 22-minute projection is going to be somewhere closer to 28. And I think we could be seeing a big Chris Boucher day today, and I love him for tournaments on FanDuel. Think he's one of my absolute favorite plays. So if I am using Porzingis and Achua at the power forward position, those are my two favorites. But if not, I'm making sure I get Kuzma in there. I'm making sure I already have Barnes in somewhere else. And then at the center position, if I'm not using Porzingis or Achua here, who I probably would, I'd rather get one of these guys in here and then play Kyle Kuzma or Scotty Barnes at that second power forward position. But if I'm not looking at Porzingis or Achua, I think I'm probably playing Nikola Vucevic in that position if I have the money. And then let's see, have we hit 20 likes? No, we have not. I can't give my crazy low-owned GPP play. That's all right. People don't want to hit the like button for it. That's all right. Dre, FanDuel, tournaments, who do you like?
Tournament-wise, I'm just going to name like a couple people by position. Like my pool is fairly small. So everyone's with this Washington game. Monte Morris is going to have to set up and score the ball a little bit more. So I like him in tournaments coming in at like 10% ownership or less. I think he's a great play. Shooting guard position, move over there. I like just to get, like I said, mentioned before, on the other side, Colin Sexton. I think it's a great play. Coming at 13% ownership, I think he's a must. I think, well, not a must, but 30 minutes, like I said before, that's a good play. Dylan Brooks is someone I don't also mind taking some shots on as well. He just has to get going and get hot. And once he gets, and he's very streaky. So if he gets going and gets hot, he can obviously light it up and give you a big score. So I don't mind taking some shots on him. John Morant's also another good option, too, I didn't mention. as well. Moving over to small forward, I like Laurie Marketing a lot. I think he is in a good matchup, obviously against the Clippers, and like I said before, I like Utah to outright just win this game. So I don't mind taking some shots on him. I don't mind taking some shots on also Norman Powell today. Just because the Clippers always need scoring. They've been disappointing to begin the year so far, but I think he can definitely step up and play pretty well here in this spot. And then also moving over to power forward. Sorry, I like Santi Aldama. Yeah, sorry, Santi Aldama. He's coming only like 2% ownership, but 4.6K is a little bit pricey, I know, but he could be a pivot off of a guy like Precious Achua in tournaments. Going against a front line of Washington that's not really that scary for me, in my opinion. Even though he only plays about 25 minutes, he I think still has the upside to do really well here in this spot. Chris Boucher, 5.9K, 5% ownership. We mentioned him before. Excellent play, probably my favorite. I would be almost tempted. Like if I was running 150, he would definitely be in at least 80% of my lineups for sure. I would say, without a doubt. Um, I also think that Jared Vanderbilt's going to come in less ownership than what we have him predicted as right now. So I would definitely probably try to be overweight on him because he definitely has the upside in this match against the Clippers. Um, and then at the center's pretty much the same guys. You obviously move some of them over with Precious and Chris and Kelly Olynyk. I do also like Steven Adams. Steven Adams had a um, monster game against Charlotte, which is bad, which their batting is big. So Washington, somewhat the same thing, even though they got Porzingis. Porzingis is more of an outside guy. So it'll be interesting to see how they do, how Steven Adams guards him. But I think he is in store and can have another big game here in this spot too as well. Along with Zubac as well, coming at like 5% ownership. I know he's a little priced up at 7K, but if these other guys fail and don't really perform well, and Zubac just goes against like a double double, like a 2020 double double, which he can definitely probably do. Um, I would not be surprised here, and he ended up breaking the slate.
Zubats was that guy that I was referring to. I think in tournaments, the two best players, if you were running 150 lineups today, to get significantly overweight on are Ivica Zubats and Chris Boucher. Because these are two guys that have low floors and have big minutes volatility. And because of that, we don't know if if Ivica Zubats is going to play 21, 23, 24 minutes where he doesn't play at the end of the fourth quarter. He might play 36, 34, where he does close the fourth quarter, and in those games, he smashes. And so because of that volatility, we have him projected for 29 minutes. Well, we have to do that. That's where his projection has to be. And if you look around the industry, it's going to be around there. But if you look at his game log, Ivica Zubats isn't going to play 29 minutes. He's going to play low 20s or mid 30s because he either closes and plays in the fourth or he doesn't close and doesn't play in the fourth at all. And so based on that, he's a great tournament play, especially at low ownership. Same with Chris Boucher. These are two guys that could absolutely break the slate. They could also both put up 10 points. It's entirely possible. They're not cash game plays. But for tournaments, I think these are the two guys that have the best chance to totally break the slate at super low ownership. Let's look at some questions. The Discord's quiet. It's a Sunday. Everybody's watching football. On YouTube, we got a decently active chat, 40 people watching. Need a few more people to hit the like button. Slide your finger over there and hit that like button for us, please. But first QQ for you, Dre. The call was Kevin Love the other night. Who's your Kevin Love call this week? Or today, sorry.
Chris Boucher, he's 5% owned, so he would be. The thing is, I don't know if he's going to come in at 5% ownership. I mean, he probably will, but he is definitely he's my Kevin Love call of the day. I would say I had a couple things right on Friday. I had a lot of things right on Friday actually. I'm just so mad I couldn't multi-enter because if I did, I know I would have took that tournament, took every tournament down.
Pain, so much pain. Next one for you. Is it a concern for you that Barton is coming off of the bench? For me personally, like even for cash games, for tournaments, not only does it not bother me, But I'm also like, I kind of like it a little bit better because that means when Porzingis and Kuzma are going to be taking all the usage to start there, we're not going to have to worry about that with Barton coming off the bench. How about you?
I agree. I'm not worried about that at all. He just comes in and does one thing: shoot.
Exactly. Peeking at the Discord, got nothing there yet. Looking at the YouTube chat, we are chilling for questions. If you were to make a game, what's your favorite game stack of these three games and why?
I'm actually trying to do that right now, just because we were talking about it. Like make a little own lineup. I'm gonna have to say like this Memphis game is interesting because it's gonna be a fast paced game, but I worry about it staying close. But it might be that game honestly, just because the value is so good there, and I can still afford to get and go up and get other superstars. So it probably is the Memphis game. Honestly, I can find my way. Like right now, I have Porzingis, Kuzma, and Barton in my lineup, and I just need to run it back with somebody. I don't even know if I want Ja, because Ja's been disappointing the last few games, but he can always just break that right here and just have a crazy game. So it really wouldn't be surprised. But I like Bane too as well, so I don't mind going with him. Um,
Brooks, I think, is a super interesting way to do that for tournaments. But honestly, I think Memphis is kind of the one team you don't need a run back with. Morant, Brooks, Bain, they're all kind of interesting to do it with. But I feel like you could see Washington keeping this close with their guys who are underpriced based on the situations having really big games. And then Morant having 40 fantasy points, Bain having 30 fantasy points, Brooks having 20 fantasy points, 20 from Tyus, 15 from Conchard, 20 from Adams, and just nobody really has a big game. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I could see that happening. For me, my favorite game stack is definitely this Toronto Chicago. Now, that will be the highest owned one, but my favorite way to kind of differentiate is just playing everyone. Like play 4-3 stack. Like do a big game stack. Mix in some guys in there like a Chris Boucher on Fanduel who will be lower owned. Precious Achua won't be super owned on DraftKings because people will be playing Boucher. And what I think you can do there, and what I really like, is I think you can just play both of them in your lineup, and that will be different in itself than everybody else. Ja or Fred Van Vliet is a question we have in the Discord. Um, I feel like that's a pretty hefty price difference. And so, point per dollar for me, it's Fred Van Vliet by a wide margin. But if it's just straight up, then I guess it would be John Morant.
it's gonna be Fred VanVleet for me. 7,500 come off a back. I know it's scary, but I think he's just gonna ball out today. They need him to play, so I think he's fine.
Yep, I agree with you. If I was running lineups today, I would be running 4 lineups. I'd be running kind of my main optimal style lineup and then 3 full game stacks. A full game stack of Utah Clippers, a full game stack of Chicago and Toronto, and a full game stack of Washington, Memphis. And then my main team would be basically just another stack of Toronto and Chicago with just a few chalkier players in there. Make sure you check out Scores and Odds. We've got you covered at scoresandodds.com, your number one place for all things sports betting. Get ready for the NFL season, NBA season. Arm yourself with the best tools and analysis. Check out the new Parlay IQ, free for everyone currently, and use it to build optimal same game parlays based on thousands of games worth of simulated data. And also make sure you check out Fanduel, our sponsor, where we're focusing most of our content on for this crunch time. You also got the single entry series back for NFL. It's obviously filled for this week because the slate's almost over, but next week we got our $5, $33, $100 tier. Get in on the action for weekly and seasonal prizes. Shout out to our current leaders from the first week of contests. Great name, TJ Culver in first, Professional in second place, and TF Belangia, TF Belila. I don't know how you say the name, but it's pretty cool looking. You can also sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state and take advantage of their awesome bonus. Seeing if we have any more questions in the Discord. The Jaw Fred one was the last one in the YouTube. Norman Powell or John Wall in a DK GPP? Who you got?
I'm gonna say Powell's the right call, but if it's GPP and you got a lot of lineups going, I'm going John Wall.
I think the answer is John Wall. I think he's got a higher ceiling. Yes, he's not going to play a ton of minutes, but he's going to get a bunch of usage when he's out there. I like John Wall in that one as well.
Jay, I know says he's hesitant to play OG since Fred is back. Depending on what site, but yeah, I wouldn't play. OG wouldn't be a high priority just because, and not even the fact that Fred's back, because it's just more so the price. But if you're playing on DK, I think he's still a good play. I just wouldn't play them two together. Just play them separate.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I really like OG on DraftKings today, but he is also getting the ownership there. I think he's kind of like, if he fits in cash, that's fine. If he fits in your tournament lineup, that's fine. He's kind of a high risk, high reward play. And then on Fanduel, where he's picking up less ownership, it would just be kind of game stack specific for me. I wouldn't be trying to play OG outside of a game stack there. Mike Conley or John Wall, which one of the two do you like tonight better in a GPP?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to say Mike Conley just because he gets more minutes for sure.
Yeah, I think Conley is probably the one that I would go with there as well. Having said that, like, you're probably getting a third of the ownership on John Wall on FanDuel as you are on Mike Conley, and then on DraftKings they're two totally different prices, and so I'd kind of prefer to save the salary with John Wall, but straight up in a vacuum, the answer is Mike Conley. Jay's in the same boat as us, playing OG in one stack. If you were doing it in that game stack situation,
that's fine.
Close us out here, Dre. Any kind of hot takes? Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Hot takes. It's not really hot. Well, it's not really a hot take. I think Boucher is going to be in a winning GPP lineup. I think it's going to come in probably higher on than what we expect it to be. Honestly, could be wrong about that though. But yeah, I think he's going to be in a winning lineup. And a game stack from, I think the Memphis. I think a little mini game stack with Memphis and Clippers win it all today.
Am I wrong that it is not 2 minutes before the game starts and we do have a confirmed Toronto lineup? Sorry, it's the Anunoby Van Vliet Barnes, no, same as we normally would. I thought for some reason they hadn't actually got it out yet, but it must have been released nice and early.
Yeah, they did get it out there. Noel has a question: Boucher or Precious Achua? I say Boucher.
Me too, but I like both, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. Both are good, but I like Boucher more. Boucher has a higher upside, even though he doesn't like to play this guy a lot, which I don't know why.
Yeah, Boucher was kind of working his way back after starting the year a little bit injured. We've seen he kind of goes in stretches of playing a ton, stretches of not playing at all. Between the two of them, it's Boucher, but I wrote this up in the expert survey. Both of these guys have over a point per minute average on the court without Pascal Siakam. We're projecting above 20 minutes for both of them. I think they should have big games. We are 1 minute away from lock. Make sure you save your lineups, get them in there. Dre and I are going to be back here in an hour and a half talking some NFL, helping you get ready for Sunday Night Football between the Chiefs and the Titans. That'll do it for this edition of Crunch Time, sponsored by FanDuel. On your way out, hit the like button. Hopefully we see you up top the leaderboards. Good luck, everybody.